Here's why you play Leomord, the Sworn Sword in the EXP lane. First off, Leomord excels in sustained damage output with guaranteed critical hits on low health enemies, making him a powerful finisher in fights. He has high mobility thanks to his second skill and ultimate, which helps him engage or disengage quickly. Leomord also becomes extremely tanky when mounted, boosting his defense while maintaining high damage. However, Leomord is vulnerable with the ultimate and struggles against long-range poking due to his reliance on close combat. Leomord's passive, the Oath Keeper, guarantees that his basic attacks will critically hit an enemy with less than 50% health, dealing 200% of his damage. This makes him a terrifying opponent for low health enemies and ensures that he can finish off fleeing opponents. Additionally, for every 1% crit chance he gains, it is converted into 2 additional physical attacks, scaling his damage output throughout the game. Leomord's first skill, Momentum, grants him a shield that allows him to channel an attack in the target direction. The longer he channels, the more damage he deals and the stronger the slow effect becomes. He can also interrupt the channeling early to deal reduced damage and slow enemies. This skill is great for poking, zoning, and initiating fights when timed well. Leomord's second skill, Decimation Assault, allows him to charge in a designated direction, damaging and slowing all enemies he hits. This skill gives Leomord mobility for both offensive and defensive purposes. Use it to either engage enemies or reposition in dangerous situations. Leomord's ultimate, Phantom Steed, summons his horse Barbiel, which charges toward him, knocking back enemies in its path. When Leomord mounts Barbiel, he enters the mounted state, gaining new abilities, increased movement speed, and a buff to his physical and magic defenses. In this state, Leomord's basic attacks become AoE, allowing him to deal damage while moving, which makes him a formidable force in team fights. Leomord's main combo revolves around his ultimate. You should start by casting ultimate and then use first skill and second skill while Barbiel is charging. Once mounted, follow up with the mounted versions of skills and enhance basic attacks to chase down enemies and deal continuous AoE damage. Moving on to builds, I usually go Tough Boots, Hunter Strike, Malefic Roar, Sea Halberd, Blade of Despair, and Sky Piercer. These are the emblems that go along with this build, though I recommend that you change your build to counter the enemy picks and not rely on a pre-built setup. Flicker is a great spell for Leomord, allowing him to reposition in fights or escape sticky situations. Another option is Vengeance, which adds extra sustain and damage reflection, especially when you're mounted and in the middle of enemy teams. Leomord excels against squishy or melee heroes like Eldest or Bellman, who struggle against his mobility and critical damage output. However, he struggles against long-range poke from heroes like Kimi or Lunox, as they can keep him at a distance and weaken him before he can engage. Be mindful of burst mages or ranged marksmen who can kite you during fights. You should max his first skill Momentum, first for its damage and slow effects. Upgrade his ultimate Decimation Assault, second for the added mobility and slow. As always, prioritize upgrading his ultimate whenever it is available for its immense utility in fights. Leomord is strongest when he is mounted, so timing your ultimate is critical to success. Use skill 1 to poke enemies in lane and zone them out of minions, but don't be afraid to cancel the channel early to get a quick shield and slow. In team fights, Leomord's ultimate can completely disrupt enemy formations by knocking back key targets and allowing you to dive into their backline. Always look to capitalize on your passive by targeting enemies below 50% HP, as you'll deal guaranteed critical hits. Be cautious when your ultimate is on cooldown, as Leomord is much less effective without Barbiel's added mobility and tankiness.